Let's start our journey into mind hacking by at first describing the human mind shortcut, or we can say human mind biases, how it processes information. So let's kick off. Today we will be covering the first three. What is ahead of us? So we will describe what is action bias, what is affect heuristic, and what is ambiguity effect. What is action bias? In general, it means that we humans prefer to do something, to action, against the inaction, even though if there is no obvious evidence that doing something or doing nothing will bear better results. So action bias. You can imagine yourself standing inside a traffic jam, and then the majority of us will try to get out of it instead of just patiently going together with the traffic jam. Because in most cases, just slowly following the traffic jam saves much more fuel and get us into the place faster. But counterintuitively, we rather go off the highway and then simply try to somehow work around this traffic jam. Similarly, inside the stock market, if we bought some index like S&P 500 and there is sudden crash, then we try to prevent it and withdraw our money as fast as possible, even though obviously if we own a full index, it would be much smarter to just keep the money where they are, because from previous video we know that after some time the market and economy again starts growing and we will get back to the previous maximas. So if there is really no super strong and important reason to withdraw the money, then we should actually, before action, prefer inaction, because this will be more beneficial to us. So what is this action bias? We have a feeling urge to do something by default, even though it may be better to do nothing. It's very likely rooted in our evolution, because when we went hunting out, there was a positive reward. So it was better to do hunting or do nothing. It's also affected by current society, as we value action more against inaction. So the society is like training us to value action against inaction. What should we be careful about when handling action bias? It's not the rule that to do something is always better compared to inaction, as we just described on our two examples with traffic jam or, for example, stock market crash. And how can we use it? So as society gives more weight to action, we can do meaningless things and look very productive. As an example, we can mention politician who is trying to pass some regulation or legislation to protect nature, but when this legislation or regulation is passed, it's going to be too broad, so it's not going to bring any benefit. But still, the politician or the party would be seen as very productive and doing something. And then if something goes wrong, it's important that it's not seen as a consequence of our action or inaction. On the other hand, when there is a positive outcome, it's important to link it to our action. Inaction would reduce the value of the outcome. And with a negative outcome, it's important to link the action to the effort to prevent it. The non-action in this case would be seen more negatively, because the person should have done something and didn't. And now we are facing affect heuristic. So what is this affect heuristic? What kind of mind bias is it? So in case of affect heuristic, we can start by saying that we have something which is called fast thinking. It's learned, it's intuitive, it's hardwired into our brain, and it's effortless, but it relies on a heuristic, which means something that in most cases works, but it may not work in all the cases. But we seal because it's effortless and it's easy to use it, we rely on it. But it may produce suboptimal results. And then we have something which is called slow thinking, when we take into action our neocortex, we think things through and so on. And this is like deliberate slow thinking, and we should use it when we are facing decision with a huge weight. For example, if we are thinking about buying a house, taking a huge loan, then we should definitely use the slow thinking process to reach the best possible consensus. And the thing here is that based on our mood, these two thinking processes can be affected, and we should be aware of it. So if we feel sad, we will be much more pessimistic. If we feel happy, we will be much more optimistic. So it's going to affect our thinking process. So what is it? Currently experienced feelings strongly influence our decision making. So if we feel bad, we will see things more negatively. And if we feel positive, we will see things more optimistically. And we may overlook many things. So for example, what to be careful about. We should postpone the decision until later when we have strong good or bad feeling. And also, we should try to see if things are related. Let's show you an example. If I failed my driving test, then obviously I'll feel bad that I failed something. But then because I feel bad, I refuse to take another driving test with the assumption that I will fail again. But there is no evidence that failing first time will lead to failing another time, but I will still reject it because the bad feeling affected my decision making. So it's really dangerous, and it's super important to be aware of this effect. Or if something is beautiful or useful, for example, some beautiful interface or beautiful design, as in case of social media, these things can keep us going for a long time and absorb our free time. And from the previous video, we know that time and attention is the most precious thing that we have. So how can we use this affect heuristic? So if we are able to induce good or bad mood, we can fundamentally influence people's decision making. So we will take care of the product service design, get feedback, and improve the experience as much as possible, because by making people feel good, they will use more our product. And depending on the mood of the moment, we can tackle hard or easy stuff. So when we have strong emotions, we rather prefer to postpone the decision until later. For example, if we are angry and we are writing email when we are angry, it's usually much smarter decision to postpone it by hour or two than read the email one more time and realize if we really want to send it. And this brings us into ambiguity effect. An ambiguity effect, what is it? So let's see. In case of ambiguity effect, if we are deciding in between two things, one thing is known and another is unknown, then by default we will go with the known thing. And that's even so if the known thing is, for example, evaluated just as average. We still go with the average against the unknown one. But there is really no evidence that if we go with the unknown one, it will be worse or better. Because if we know nothing, then it's 50 by 50 that the unknown thing will be either better than the known average one or worse than the known average one. So by deciding to go with unknown, we can actually expand our comfort zone and get better result. So what is it, this ambiguity effect? As I mentioned, if we are deciding in between two things, one is known, even if it's known that it's average, and another unknown, we by default go rather with the known. What we should be careful about. Unknown thing is not automatically bad. As I mentioned, if we are deciding in between something which is average and another thing which is unknown, there is 50% it will be good or bad, which means better or worse than the average. So we should time to time try it because it can expand our comfort zone. And in general, if we forget to include important information for our product and our competitors do, we may lose many customers because these customers would know more about the competitor's product, so they will rather choose it because of the ambiguity effect. How can we use it? We can take care that we provide all the normally expected information for our product, service, proposal. Then we take care to incorporate feedback or request for information because this is our client helping us to be better. And then we take care to provide reviews from other people so that there is a sense of familiarity in case of our product or proposal. And that's it. So how are you going to use these 3 mind biases?